It's a little after 4. I'm going to elect to give it 3 or 4 more minutes. We've got some folks come in, and I know it's a busy time of year, and folks are trying to get here. So let's agree to go ahead and start the meeting at about 4:05. Okay, so hang tight. Thank you. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get us started. It looks like we're competing against a beautiful evening and spring activities and opening day. So um, that's how we'll accept why folks aren't here. Welcome everybody to the second meeting. Thank you for everyone's time. I'll just go around and acknowledge who's here. Angela Hanson's here from Pioneer Ridge, Mandy Taylor here from Trail Ridge, Bruce Haber from Nike, Robbie Smith from Nike. I know Tony Taylor from the high school is coming a little later. Tom Redden, board president. I think Greg Chapman, board vice president, will be here later. Lana Sutton, board members here. Denise Rusolo from Trail Ridge is here. Brian Huff, superintendent, is here. Amy Drogemeyer is here from the district office. I'm Jody Marshall from the district office. We've got guests in attendance, Mark Meyer from the district office, Carrie Owens from Sunflower Elementary. Again, as we usually do, let's start by thanking Deb Starling for being here to take notes, keep me in line, and our tech department, Patrick Hayes is here. Appreciate the tech support. And then I wanted to take a moment to thank Daphne Pippett. I didn't do that at the first meeting, but I think both teams recognize how important Daphne is. She's very good about getting us all the data we need. and she provides very accurate and prompt service. So thank you to Daphne. All right, so I have the agenda up here, pretty straightforward. Both teams agreed we would have the board team do a budget update. So I'm going to turn this over to Amy and let her go through a presentation.
Yep, I did. I had it yours. All right, I've been told that at 10 minutes and 1 second the hook comes out, so we're going to make this quick. Let me put it in slideshow. All right, so this is where we are as of today for the budget. So I'm just going to go through some information about current year performance and then what we know to this date about next year. So this is a very similar thing that we provided to, sorry, Bev, there's an extra copy right there for you, that we provided to the board in January as well. So this is very similar to that. But these are our budgeted receipts. This is what's in our monthly treasurer's report all the time for the information that we share, all of that. But these are where all of the different receipts that we're going to bring in this year, what we've budgeted to bring in, which is $106.5 million. As you know, a lot of that is not necessarily operating budget money, so I'll move on to that. Of the operating portion of that, $71.1 million, about $71.1 million is what we would set aside for what we would call operating, which means we actually have the latitude to decide how to spend that, whether it's salaries or supplies or technology or those types of things. And then that $35.5 million on the right side are things that we really don't have a lot of control over, of the different fund types. There are very restricted funds that are part of that, such as bond and interest, which is quite a large one, capital outlay, those types of things. So some of those we can spend on specific things, and some of those we're really, like capers, it comes in and goes right back out, but it is part of our revenue and part of our expenditures. So of that $71.1 million, this is what we had budgeted to spend it on this year. So payroll, $62.8 million on all payroll activities. And then non-payroll is just under $13 million. And you can see the breakdowns of those. If you have questions about any of those categories, you can let me know. I have all the details. Happy to share that. But this is, again, just a recap of what the work we've done for this year and what we're measuring against. So in that payroll budget, I just wanted to break down what that consists of. And this consists of the certified contracts. I thought it would be a good idea to add what the FTE are for each of those. That just felt like a better measure that I can give to all of you. So of that, the salary portion of this is $51.315 million. So certified contracts, the classified support staff, the administrative contracts, and then the other additional ancillary salary spending that we do, whether it's supplementals, stipends. This stipend does include all of the curriculum work that we've been doing this year, so that did fall under that. So it's a little higher than it's been in the last couple of years. To date, we've spent about $150,000 on the curriculum rating with the staff that's been performing that work for us. Extra duty, that was our budget for that, our substitutes, and then accumulated leave payments, which we will actually be processing or sending that information out in the next couple of weeks. So that whole amount there, that's what makes up our payroll piece of the budget. Now that's that $51.315 million. I went back a slide. That's what makes up that part. And then the rest of the payroll are the benefits. We budgeted $7.5 million this year for the district paid benefit. And then, of course, the payroll taxes the district is responsible for, which is about 7.75% of those salaries. So year to date, here's where we are. So our budget for payroll activities was that $62.8-ish million. We projected that we are actually going to spend $61.9 million. It is under budget. And we know that, and we actually used that last year as part of our compensation offer. We know there will be vacancy savings, and you'll see that as we get further into this entire process. We know that we will never be able to fill every single position that we have. Some of those, however, are not necessarily in those operating funds that we can spend. Some of those are nutrition services, very restricted account. Some of those are custodial salaries, which come out of capital outlay. So they aren't necessarily additional money that we can use as we wish, but I just wanted to let you know that that's where we're at this point this year. Again, projections. And then our non-payroll costs, we budgeted $12.9-ish million, and we're projecting to spend 12.5. Some of that is our insurance has come in under what we budgeted, which is great. Means we're doing it, not health insurance, unfortunately, but our property casualty liability. That's a great thing for us. That means we're doing a lot of right things. But also our contracted services, we budgeted a little higher for some of those things, but we've been able to fulfill some of those with our operations team. This would be like mowing and snow removal and those types of things. And then transportation, our general education transportation, we haven't spent as much as we projected this year. We're going to take a look at that and see why is that. It's probably because fewer students are riding or fewer paid students are riding. So we're going to take a look at that as well. It's good that we're going down, but we want to make sure that those services are available to our students. And then utilities, we did expect a bump. That might shrink a little as we've had those really cold, we're getting the bills for those really, really cold days and all of those things from January and some into February. Those are starting to come through, and they're perking up just a little bit, but I think that we'll still be under budget on those to finish the year. So our projected carryover is not quite 1.3. And again, that is after February. That's my crystal ball to make sure that I can get as close as I can. It also represents less than 2% of what we actually budgeted. So I feel like that's a pretty good margin. Some of that is also for carryover for payroll purposes, so cash flow purposes. We always carry over a little bit of money in SPED because we do not get any SPED state aid until October. And there will be a little bit of carryover in at-risk as well. So those are the two major places where you will see some carryover this year. So fast forwarding to this year, we are still waiting for the legislature to they've finalized their proposal for the budget, but it has not yet been voted on as far as I knew at 3:30. Okay, Lana's shaking her head no. So yeah, I think that Lana and Bill have a very late night tonight because I believe today is what they're trying to get done today. So it'll be tomorrow. Okay. They're going to have to push it to the morning. Okay. So it will be tomorrow before we know for sure. However, this is with the information we have today. This is where we are. So the most important piece of this is that our enrollment has not grown and our weightings will drop because of, number one, the change in the way that we are funded. So we can no longer use like the average of the last couple years or 3 years ago or 2 years ago. It will be the enrollment from this year, this current school year, which my auditor is down the hall right now. So we'll know that by next Tuesday, what that final number is. Or next year, if we grow, we will get that money. So we have to base that on what this year's numbers are. And so if we grow, that's great. That will give us additional funds. But at this point, with our demographer's report, we don't expect that to be to go up much at all, if any. So the other piece of this in the weightings, and I've got this in here, and there's a whole bunch of different things in here, but one of the big pieces is the extraordinary growth. That was our this sunsets this year, and that is a weighting of 43 this year, which we will not have next year. So if you take 43 times that $5,800, that's a good chunk of change. And cost of living, we do expect, we won't know for sure what that weighting will be until probably late April when we'll get our percentage from the state of what we can actually do. So you can see in there, the enrollment piece is a big chunk of it because this year we were able to use the average of 22-23 and 23-24, which is higher than this year, which that number in there for this year is that average. But then what's in that 25-26 is what we turned in on the SO66 on September 20th. And that will fluctuate a smidge, but it is down. And that's part of the reason for this 170.6 drop in weightings that we are projecting. Yes. Will you use the microphone, pretty please? Thank you.
When we use the weightings, is it all or none for the whole district like we all used last year's, or we all use the current year's, or does it go per building?
Nope, it's for the whole district.
Okay.
That is correct.
So even if you have 4 buildings grow significantly and the others don't,
it's the entire cumulative number that is for the whole district is what it's based on. Okay. You are correct. That's a great question. All right. So unfortunately, that also means that our new state aid is significantly less than last year, is what we're projecting. I did add in there the number that the state shared with us this morning for the base state aid is 5611. However, there have been some movements this last couple of days about removing a little bit of the base state aid funding for some safe and secure things. So they're really not quite sure how that might shake out. So they cautioned us to use this little bit lower number again, $6. But when you take it times the 7,000, the 7,200 that's in there, it makes a big difference in the bottom line. But I just wanted to point that out, that we don't know that full number yet for that base aid, but that is the projection that the state has given us at this point. So we've also looked at non-payroll costs, and that was that $12.9 million that we looked at earlier. These are some of the things that we are facing and we have budgeted for. Transportation, we have a new contract. We are in the process of getting ready to sign our final contract with First Student to extend that for 5 years. However, that contract went up 18%. And so it is what it is. The good news is, I guess if there's good news, two things. One, we have switched up a little bit of the way that they have recalculated the lease cost of the bus. And so I won't say it's dropped the route rates, but it offset the route rates because those lease costs can be taken out of capital outlay, which has freed up a little bit of that operating money. Not a lot, but a little bit. So that increase is not as large as it could have been because of that. In addition, we project our utilities will go up 10%. That's just what we've been told. We're going to budget for that. We're going to probably get it right on the nose this year. Maybe just a smidge under, but not much. Anticipating our building budgets will be flat unless the building does grow, then the building would get, we have a formula that we apply, and they will either get the larger of what their enrollment was on the last day of school this year or what their enrollment is on 9/20. So right now we're sticking with it's flat, but we will adjust that as needed. It's not a huge amount that would be adjusted, so we feel like flat is the way it is. Department budgets, we did the big purchase this year of some at-risk curriculum with the, oh my gosh, I'm losing Second Step. And that was in there this year. So we won't have that huge purchase in there, but we have some other things that have put against that. And then some small increases to our operations budgets. Just things go up. The cost of salt and fuel and all of those things are in there. At the administrative district level, we do believe we can cut the contractor budgeted cost by about $60,000 and still have a little bit of room in there in case something crazy happens. Same thing with legal, knock on wood. We feel like that we can offset that just a little bit just based on our past history of spending. But unfortunately, paper and postage are through the roof this year. So it's not a huge increase. But we do expect that will go up probably $15,000 to $20,000 for next year. We're going to exceed the budget this year. There's no way around it. And then as costs of postage go up, that's just part of what we have to deal with. And then we've been told by our broker to anticipate an 18% property casual insurance renewal. That's actually coming up in the next couple of probably 6 weeks. And they're giving us green lights that it's probably not going to be that much, but until we know for sure, and if we hopefully have no weather events between now and the renewal, that should hopefully be able to tick down just a little bit. So overall, we have $772,000 in non-operating that we expect we're going to have to spend. Again, a majority of that in transportation. Capital outlay, I just wanted to show you what we're projecting there and what types of things we're going to continue to put into capital outlay to offset some of that. So we reserved $130,000 of the increase for the custodial, any increases they might get for their salaries, benefits, all of that we can put into there. If we needed additional software, like I know we have Ingenuity is, I believe, due this year. Isn't that the one that's for credit recovery? That's due this year, and it will be a large expense. And then the bus lease increase that I talked about. So the last piece of this, and our principals that are in here can attest to this, and some of you probably were involved in this as well, are our building needs assessments. And as we work through this budget process, we do ask our buildings and our building leadership and our building teams to give us their assessment. It's a statutory compliance thing, but it also gives us a lot of information about what you guys are saying from the buildings that we need to keep in mind. And here are the things. Staff development was a huge theme within the comments that were shared with us. Again, staffing needs, we understand that. Technology needs, that would be a capital outlay expense. And so it wouldn't necessarily hit the operating piece of the budget, but it is something that I know is long needed. And then facilities needs, so all of the updates or improvements or just repairs, those types of things. More flexible spaces came up a lot, especially in the secondaries. So just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown, and the board will get more information about that in the next few weeks. So I also wanted to take a look at where are we compared to the other 5 districts in Johnson County. We know that for a brand new teacher, we are at the bottom, and we don't like that. We definitely want to do what we can to address it. We will have to wait and see what the other districts decide to do. We're all in the same boat with the state aid thing. No one grew this year except Spring Hill. So we're all kind of in that same boat. I did want to point out, and this is just something I wasn't aware of, but all the other districts, their contracts are 187 days and ours are 185. So again, I'll let Mr. Meyer, as he's out recruiting, like, hey, you can work 2 less days. I know that doesn't help with your paycheck, but I just thought that was an interesting thing that I didn't realize that we could at least offer. And then you'll see the max step, step 30 is, and it's not necessarily our max step, but it's what I could get to on everybody else's schedules. And so that's where we fall in there. So we do make it up as you stay with us, which is helpful. But I also know a lot of those people move over because of all of the hours and things that they have accrued. The masters, again, we're at the bottom. If you're in the 6-1 column, moves up a little bit when you get further up the scale. Here's one thing that I know came up in that Mandy shared in the presentation from the GNEA survey was about longevity. And so I really wanted to take a deep dive into that. What do we do? What can we do? And you can see, guys, we have a really great longevity program for our staff. We have quite a few people that get to take advantage of that. And so if you compare to what other districts do, it's a good thing. And I know that doesn't hit the base salary schedule. I understand that. But I know we heard a lot from our staff about we want to be rewarded for staying. And I just want to make sure that information's out there, that this is what we do compared to our peers. And then healthcare, my not favorite subject. Our contribution, I was able to look at this. We did move up. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. It's great that we were able to pay more, but we're also paying more as people who are insured. And some of that is, it's just unique to the body of insured pool that we have and our own claims experience. And so we're hoping that by this move to Blue Cross, back to Blue Cross, we are doing weekly meetings with them, looking at all of the things that we could do or that we can share with our staff. I know there have been a lot of, we get numbers on SpiroCare visits, and that will help drive the cost down as well. So I know that there's been pain points with this particular switch. We hope that this is a long-term solution and a long-term relationship with Blue Cross, and at least there's that piece of it coming back in, but we will continue to look at that as we move forward. So other considerations, retention, recruitment of staff, obviously retain our top priority. It's one of the number 5 on our Board of Education's leadership priorities. Looking at the retention or just reducing the contracted positions, we did a really good job of that this year. We have way fewer contracted positions for especially our SPED related service providers, which has contributed to that savings that we saw in the payroll piece. So that's really a great thing that we were able to find and keep our own people. And then obviously comparing with other districts, as well as the state aid increase that we are hopefully going to know by early next week. And then our paid district health and dental benefit, part of our total compensation package. We are estimating right now about a 12% increase for next year. And as we get further into this, you'll see the money that we've set aside for that paid benefit increase. We hear the staff, when they say, I miss the surplus, I miss having that information. And when we compare to other districts, we are missing a handful of those things. And so that is a priority and a commitment from us to listen to our staff, not just certified, but classified are telling us the same thing. So we want to listen to that. We want to make sure that if you choose to take the HDHP, that there is a little bit of money there you can stick in your HSA, and it will cost less than the benefit that we give. So the most important thing, enrollment growth, is the key to stability and to obviously funding growth. All right, I didn't hit 10 minutes, but what questions do you have? Okay, all right. Well, if you have any, you know you can reach out at any point.
Well, thank you very much, Amy. I think I'd also take a minute to point out that just as a district, as a staff, leadership team, and Board of Ed, we really try hard to be transparent and share the information. I think Amy's presentation is a good example of that, as was GNEA's presentation of their data. I also think a good example of that is our demographer coming in and presenting every year and really showing us, forecasting how our enrollment is going to look. And I just think it's important as it relates to this process and a lot of things that are going on, very much the bond as well, to just be mindful that that's an important data point for all of these things, including how we approach negotiations. And Amy hit on that at the end. It's about enrollment, and we do anticipate growth starting the year after next, and that will help. That'll be good medicine for everything, guys. So anyway, all right, thank you, Amy. So we're at a point in the agenda where we could start talking about some of the noticed items. So at this point, I'd invite Jeannie, do you have any items you'd be willing or interested in sharing and presenting at this point? None of the non-comp items? I mean, I know most of the other items relate to comp, but no time off, no. Okay. All right. Well, we have a couple items that I think we can at least consider. So let me grab my stack of paper and pass some stuff around. You're welcome. So I don't think these are our remaining non-comp items, although one of them does include compensation. But they are not directly related to the supplemental salary schedule or the certified teaching salary schedule. So the first one is kind of just another example of providing clarity and helping people understand what they're getting into. So this is out of Section 4, Curriculum School Improvement. There's just an option in there when you do curriculum work on the curriculum committee or curriculum council to get paid for that. And the current rate is $19 an hour, and we'd like to bump that up. Payment will be based on the column 1, step 1 hourly rate of pay from the currently adopted professional employee certified salary schedule. That way it stays contemporary with and it's associated with the salary schedule. Obviously, we're increasing it. We think that reflects the importance of the work. Right now, we're talking about a curriculum council, and according to Dr. Jones, I think there's 5 or 6 members on the actual council, and these folks are kind of the leaders in addition to the admin team. They facilitate a lot of the curriculum work and the conversations, and they give feedback to Ed Services in particular. And I do want to point out, this is distinct, this is different from folks that are actually writing the curriculum. Those folks last summer we've approached, and we would probably do the same thing this summer, that are actually writing the curriculum with a set stipend. This is the work that needs to be done, this is the time frame, and we pay them a stipend. And that's based on our experience, the experience we went through really last year about how much time it takes and what the end product needs to look like. Questions about this?
I'll just add that for the Curriculum Council this year, we actually have been paying that rate. For the work that's been done, it was new and unique, so we felt like that was the right thing to do. And also those stipends are based on that rate as well. The Curriculum Council gives us the hours they estimate that the project will take by grade level, subject, all of that. And then we apply that, and then, we round up just a titch. So I just want to make sure that again, in the spirit of transparency, that it's something we've already been doing this year, and we're able to still meet it within our budget. So we felt like that this is time for us to put this into practice and into the negotiated agreement.
Questions, reactions? Yeah, it's important work. Something you'd be willing to accept this afternoon. Okay. And obviously I'd remove the reference in there to group 3 extra duty. That should have been a strike through up there. Okay. The next item is from section 6. It's the flex days. No change in the language or anything like that. I think it's been our agreement that each year we'll just identify specifically what the flex days are, drop those in the negotiated agreement. Just again helps everybody understand what days we're talking about, when they are, what they look like. And so based on really calendar committee and our past experience, these are the proposed dates. That one in October. Then we've added the second PD day before Thanksgiving. So it's basically the Monday, Tuesday. Again, those days off, those taking advantage of them as flex days is the better way to put it, is contingent upon completing the PD ahead of time. And then that day before winter break, that's a half day. Because we do have the secondary students, middle and high school students in the morning, and then that March 13th is before spring break. Questions, concerns, something I've missed there?
All right. Just a note, as we go into planning, when we're adding that additional flex day in November, so October 10th and December 19th and March 13th, people can do their flex on those days. And since we're adding a new one, we just want to make sure that teachers will actually have the advantage of having November 24th and 25th as a flex day, so that any due dates, like if they want to come, we understand like maybe stuff won't be provided on those days, but that they have those days included in their time to get their flex PD completed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so, but then they wouldn't really be flexing them. Are you saying off-site on their own, flexing on those days?
That the building would be open, that nothing, like just nothing's provided on October 10th, December 19th, March 13th, but people can be in the buildings to do their work. So the November 24th and 25th they're flexing PD, which they could get done in the summer, but I guess we just want to make sure that as part of this, that they would still have that time to flex, so they could either get their PD done ahead as flex or choose to come into the building and do their independent work.
We don't have any problem with that. I do want to make sure that we're saying pretty clearly, if they're not going to be on site, then they have to have demonstrated that they've done this ahead of time.
And so that's my question.
Yep.
What is it, what fall, because last year there was a very small thing that qualified for that. So what qualifies for that PD that can be done ahead of time?
Yeah, I don't have that specifically spelled out in front of me,
Okay.
Angela. It will be the same approach, and we'll try to be, I think, a little bit more accommodating or flexible with those opportunities that they can access, not just in the summer, but throughout the school year. Is
Okay.
that your question?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
my question. I just want to know.
Yeah, I think it
what
was a
the-
learning experience, and we'll
Okay.
see if we can identify a few more opportunities
Okay,
so folks can lock in and have it done
all right,
well ahead.
all right.
Yep, good question. Microphone, please.
Is there a time frame where we will know what that plan looks like so that people can know this is my plan for summer, so that they're prepared?
Yes, I am not willing to commit to a specific date, but we'll get something, at least some kind of update out in the next couple weeks, so it's at least a starter. And we can tell more to come on May 22nd or whatever. So give us a few weeks to get something initial out, and that way they'll kind of, we can start the conversation. Okay, that's fair. All right, is this something we're willing to accept? I'm going to put that down as accepted. Angela, you guys give us feedback if we're not presenting it and giving the options in a timely fashion. I know we can count on you, and it will be our goal to be as clear and get as much information out as quickly as possible so folks can plan. And certainly before summer, we want to make sure we flesh out all the options, because that is not the best time, but that's a good time for folks to come in. And we know we have some important initiatives, and we're going to be asking folks to come in and participate. So, okay. Can I put you guys on the spot? What else do you guys need to start providing some proposals, or is there something else you need?
I think we just need time. We haven't been able to meet together since it's spring break and everything to get our
Okay.
proposals ready and with members out. So we just need some time to actually work together.
Okay. That's totally fair. Bev, were you going to say something else? Bev's acting like she's never seen a microphone before. Come on, Bev.
I'm secretly a karaoke fan.
Yes.
And also, I think we needed the full picture so that we knew what
Yeah.
we could work toward.
Okay, well, I would like to caucus with the BOE team for 5 minutes. So we'll excuse ourselves. You guys can stay in here. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about if there's anything else we can accomplish tonight or if we need to work on a date. I think getting the budget set, sounds like in the next 24, 48 hours will be helpful. Okay, all right. Someone read that into the record. Will help all of us. And so, okay, give us 5 minutes and we'll come back in and we'll talk about next steps. Okay, welcome back in. And better late than never acknowledge that Tony Taylor showed up. Linda Seek is here from KNEA. And did someone else sneak in on us? Maybe not. Oh, Bev. Yep, Bev Furlong's here. Okay. We're at a point where we're ready to wrap up, I think. Does anyone have any questions, any input, any requests?
I think part of our discussion is that we would like to tentatively agree to the flex days, but we would like more information about how teachers can achieve their PD, like what kind of options are available,
Okay.
how individualized it will be. So we'd like some time, we'd like to hear what that plan will look like.
So here's what I would propose. Let's have Deb mark it down as agreed, but we know this is going to take a few more weeks, and you guys can monitor what's coming out, and if you still have concerns, then we can talk about it before we, do the formal parts of accepting the negotiated agreement. Okay? Any other requests? Anything you guys need? Anything else for the good of the cause? Okay, let's get our calendars out. I think the BOE team would like to have a meeting before the next board meeting, just so we can keep, again, the pace going here and take advantage of that being on the schedule on April 14th. So I don't know if there's an opportunity next week or the following week, the week of the 7th. Why don't we look at the week of the 7th? Gives you a little bit more time. And I know this time of year it's going to be virtually impossible, but Wednesday the 9th? The 10th? It does. Tuesday, okay, Amy's not here, so. Deb, you're oversharing at this point. We have another function that will involve some of our staff, so hold on. Yeah, I don't think that that's a great date. So the week of the 31st is a no-go? Too soon? Yeah, okay. Monday the 7th?
Can we just zoom you in? On Tuesday I could. Wednesday I'll be driving and Monday I'll be driving. Where are you going? Maybe we could do that Tuesday.
What day was that? The 8th. The 8th. Well, Amy's not here, Deb. She's not here the 7th, 8th, or 9th. What about, let's look at the 9th and then, well, obviously we're not doing it on the 11th, so, yep, let's go ahead and put it down for the 9th. I'll visit with the team and see if we can make some accommodations and make sure we're fully prepared and someone can tag in or sub in.
Way out there idea. Somebody might throw something at me. We do have PLCs on Wednesday.
I think the issue we're trying to work around is Amy more than anything at this point, so I don't know that starting earlier is actually going to help. I don't know, would that help, Amy? But you can't start at 4.
I mean, I won't be on the road at 3, but I'll probably be on the road.
Okay, let's go ahead and set it for 4. Amy and I will visit about what we can do to be flexible. I understand what you're suggesting, Denise, and that might allow us to get in and get going. But let's set it for 4, and then keep an eye on your appointments. We may have to adjust it or tweak it. Everybody else comfortable with that? All right. Tony's not comfortable with that. Okay, well, again, this time of year, we know we're going to have to marshal on without a few people, or they may have to come late or leave early. So I'm grateful for your flexibility and for your time this evening. One last time, anything else? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, guys.